Today I fucked up by getting a wooden marble stuck up my butt. First off, this experience is over 2 decades old, and it truly traumatized me at the time. Now, it can't be any worse than the guy who fucked a coconut. So, I'm like 12 or 13. I'm deep into the first wonderful throes of puberty, and all the self-pleasuring joys that arrive with the territory. I took to those joys with gusto. Any spare moment I could find were filled with what could only be described as self-inflicted molestation. My brain was dumping dopamine and oxytocin like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet in heaven. So, I quickly grew bored of the basic stuff, and had to try new things to keep those brain rushes coming. I had never experienced anything that had made me feel so good, emotionally, in my life. I was a damaged kid who had suffered a lot both physically and emotionally, so in retrospect I was probably literally addicted to the feeling. Anyway, so I was bored and wanted to get off trying something new, and I had of course heard about anal sex and prostate massage on this wonderful new invention called the World Wide Web, where I'd spend more time than I should looking at naked people doing naked things. But play didn't sound so bad, so I figured why not? Worth a shot. Now I did not know about the miraculous expanding abilities of the brown starfish, so I thought it could only get so big, and I didn't want to hurt myself. So I looked around the room for something small and thin. I needed something that would at least give me an idea what it wouldn't feel like. My eyes fell on the wooden woodpecker. It was perfect. Wooden woodpecker? Is this a fucking joke, you ask? Nope. The wooden woodpecker was a toy, a small carved woodpecker attached to a small spring and wood cylinder which would slide up down a thin length metal, or thick metal wire, attached to a wood block base. When the cylinder slid down the metal wire, it would create vibration which would cause the spring to make the woodpecker peck the metal. The top of the metal wire was topped of by articular wood marble, about an inch in diameter. So, why was it perfect? Well, I figured it was attached to a wire, and it was small. I could push it in quickly, see what it felt like and pull it out. No harm, no foul. Let's do it. Dear readers, at this point I have to warn you. You all know what's coming, but if you're at all disgusted by descriptions of my oncoming actions and subsequent panic, even slightly, why are you even here? Go look at puppies frolicking with babies, or pictures of sterilized medical instruments. Anything more wholesome and sanitary than this post. I got in position and aimed the toy, marble head first, to its target, and slowly pushed it in. Now, this part wasn't so bad. Anyone can at least guess what it felt like. A tiny bowel movement in reverse. It was weird, but not bad. I start to pull it out. This is where the problem begins. See, I never bothered to check how securely the wooden marble was attached to the thick wire. I just assumed it must have been glued on. Silly me. Here I am, trying to pull this thing out of my ass, and my ass isn't cooperating by expanding, and all of a sudden I hear a pop. I'm now holding the wooden woodpecker, sans wooden marble. I freaked the fuck out. My mind was filled with pictures of thing rolling up into my intestines. What if it blocked my poo from coming out and I died? What if it began to rot and I got splinters inside my butt? What if I had to tell my parents? Question mark. I did what any insane newly pubescent teen with a wooden toy stuck up his ass would do. I shoved my hand up my butt and tried to pull it out. I said tried, because I was not successful. Look, it's awkward. You're not really in a good position to really stick your hand up there. Plus, it was so slippery. I could feel it with my fingers, but I just could not get a good grip on it. I only made it worse, because I wasn't being gentle about it either. And when I pulled my hand out there were spots of blood on it. So now I was panicking 5,000. For the next 15 minutes, I go through the 5 stages of grief. This isn't that bad. It'll be okay. I never heard of anyone dying because stuff got permanently stuck in their butt. Why the hell didn't they glue that thing on better? Please God, I promise to stop masturbating if you just help me get rid of it. Haha, joke's on him. I'm going to die and everyone is going to know why and laugh at me. Kids will call me marble butt at school. There's nothing I can do. This is my life. I will live with this thing in me if I have to. Why didn't you just try to crap it out? I'm sure you're all asking. Look, you're asking for rational logic from a irrational teenage masturbator. You might as well ask for Donald Trump to admit he lost. Anyway, to end this story, I settled down and did exactly that. I was scared, because it wasn't coming out, but eventually my butt did what it was born to do and I heard a satisfying little plop in the toilet bowl. Kids, learn from me. Don't experiment with your butt and loose objects. Wait until you're 30, when your parents say you can start dating. TL, Dr. Horny Teen Masturbator sticks a wooden toy up his butt where it becomes stuck, leading him to panic, make another bad decision, and question whether his life was worth living. So I've got to know, does everybody still call you marble butt? Lol. You think I ever told anyone about this? Hell no. You, my friend, are witnessing history. Just read this story to my husband. He has that toy to this day. He bought it for a secret Santa at school. Later in the day he saw that the kid had thrown it away. My husband retrieved and it resides in the kitchen now 40 years later. Here's the oddly relevant part. The next year he got the same kid for secret Santa, but this time he very nicely wrapped up a big dog turd. When the kid opened the box and stuffed his hand in the packing noodles, he came out with a juicy turd in front of the whole class. Butt play at 13. I can't even begin to imagine what you're into now. Satan would blush. Dude, this legitimately just made my day much better. My facial cheeks, hurt from laughing. Coming from a fellow male, I can empathize with all of this. Your grief and panic-stricken thoughts would have been the exact same in my mind, haha. Glad you didn't end up with permanent booty splinters, smiley face. Cheers dude, stay safe and make sure any butt stuff is easy to remove or extract. Cool face. I feel dirty reading this about a minor. It felt dirty to live through it. You're not reading about a minor. You're reading about a grown man telling an extremely embarrassing, and legal, story about himself when he was a minor. There is a difference. Today I fucked up by getting my head stuck in a cheese packet, a cat's tail. So my name is Sansa, I'm a 6.5-year human-year-old cat. I love cheese, it's like my most favorite treat. While my human was at work and my dad was watching a zombie film, I noticed they had kindly left a pack of grated cheese on the dining room table. I jumped onto the table to do an inspect. It was mature cheddar. Bingo, that's my jam. Don't give me that mild shit. So I used my claws to make a hole in the pack and proceeded to chow down, then put my head in to get the last little bits, when disaster struck as I realized my head was stuck. I did my trusty reverso maneuver, however the packet followed me. Then I somehow fell off the table. Freaked, I ran around the house trying to outrun the packet, but it was lightning fast and kept up with me. This ensured I was at panic level end of the world. My dad got pissed off with me for peeing by the front door instead of my litter tray and installed an evil cat deafening device. As I was running around the house blinded by the packet, I mistakenly ran past it and it shrieked at me like a banshee. I managed to knock it over, but that just seemed to make it worse. Fumbling around blind, it seemed some sneaky bastard had put a huge box by the front door which was almost impossible to maneuver around blind, and I just kept ramming into it. Eventually the packet was knocked unconscious and fell off my head. I sheepishly walked into the living room looking to my dad for sympathy strokes. However, he just walked into the hallway, say the empty pack and trail of cheese and destruction, and laughed at me. And oh man, did I have stinky farts that night. Still worth it. Off cheese for a little while though. Too long, didn't read, found cheese, ripped open packet to chow down, got my head stuck, cos ensued. Poor little baby Sansa. I'm glad you knocked that evil packet unconscious and managed to escape. Heart, heart. Poor Sansa, thank you for sharing your brave story. My cat Grimalkin did something like this once upon a time. For reference, Grim is a 20 pounds monster made of grey fur and abject cowardice. He runs from doors that open, porch squirrels, and the sink being turned on. I got home from work and popped open the door to the sound of my wife on the phone with her dad and the unholy rattling of a plastic bag full of cans moving at Mach 10. My wife had been gathering up my scattered Mountain Dew cans and threw the cat's breakfast fancy feast tin into the bag as well. And her dad called and she set the bag down. The cat, smelling food, poked his head into the bag, through the loop because he's got the brains of a rock. I opened the door at that exact moment, utterly terrifying the cat. He burst into a sprint, the bag around his neck. The cans began to rattle and the bag to rustle. This further terrified him. He ended up doing 2 laps of the apartment, sending cans in every direction and a jet of urine straight behind him, thankfully into the bag of doom cans. Once his laps were done and his bladder was empty, he bolted down the hall and into the shelter of under the bed, where he cowered, bag still attached to him, tail floofed to 6 times its normal width. Thankfully I'm a lean lanky bastard. I managed to get deep enough under the bed to break the bag handle and extricate its piss-soaked existence from my home. This all took the longest 45 seconds of my life. My wife had barely made her excuses by the time I had gotten the bag out. No amount of cajoling or ham would draw the cat out, so we opted to leave and go to a movie so he could calm down in peace. When we got back he was still under there and flees from the sound of plastic bags to this day. Classic, thanks for the morning laugh. Cat tax. Today I fucked up by biting my girlfriend's boob while asleep. I recently recovered from having coronavirus and one of the lasting side effects is being extremely tired all the time, even after getting plenty of sleep. Pairing that with the multiple brownies I had before bed, and staying up much later than I should have on a work night meant that I wasn't going to sleep well. While I was sleeping I was having a nightmare in where I was being restrained by someone and the only thing I could use to defend myself was my teeth. So logically, to protect myself, I lunged at my dream attacker and bit them. Well, part way through that I woke up and had realized that I was actually lunging forward and biting my poor girlfriend who was sleeping next to me so peacefully directly on her boob. And I mean directly on the nipple in the center. This obviously woke her up and she just said, "Ow, why'd you just bite me?" And all I could muster up to say while I was half asleep was just a pathetic "I don't know." Too long didn't read. I was being attacked in a dream and defended myself in real life with a bite to my girlfriend's tit. At least you didn't shit yourself out of panic in the dream. And I thought I was in the shit the night I kicked my wife in the leg as I was fighting off intruders in my sleep. At least kicking is easily explained, but an attack bite is just baffling on both ends. Watched my 5-year-old in my bed sleeping next to my wife, who was also out cold. As I am sitting there thinking how adorable all this is, my wife rolls over and begins snoring directly into his face, loudly. Having realized just the day before that Alexa will play various noises like farts and screams, my son was still primed to counteract my attempts to annoy him with it. After about 4 seconds, he sits straight up, reaches back and bellows "Alexa, stoop," and full on bitch slaps my wife across the face, then peacefully goes back to sleep. Following morning she couldn't figure out why she was sore and where those marks across her face came from. Lol, this reminds me of my dad kicking my mom in sleep. Apparently, he was trying to start his motorcycle in his dream, the older ones where you need to kick the pedal to start the engine. The proper response was "Depends. Did you like it?" I can guarantee you she didn't. It was less of a sexy bite and more of an attack dog-like bite.